loyalty and the passion is second to none. But it's not just that, it's the noise, it's the atmosphere, it's the feeling of belonging. A lot of the time you have personal problems in your own life. When you go to a Newcastle United game, that's an opportunity to forget everything. You know, it's not just a football club, it's a way of life for Newcastle United fans, and I think that's where it's always going to be.
It's the longest journey. It's passion, it's pride, it's belief. That's what Newcastle stand for.
People don't realise how important this is, to us in the North East, I mean, we love our football team, we really do,
When you were there, it was the dream. What is it now?
Well, it's not a nightmare, but it's close to that for the fans, because the best thing you've got to understand this club and this city. It's every club's different, every club's unique. This has got some characteristics that or rules, if you like, that are so easy to follow. What do they want? The Geordies, they work hard all week. Come on, guys, fight for us, entertainers. Because we're paying our hard-earned money. That's number one. But also, they want to be treated with respect. That's gone now. There's no trust, and that's the word that's so, I think, important at any, not just a football club. It's not there anymore, and I don't think that can be repaired.
60 years since I started following the game. It's in the blood. It's really in the blood.
Are you confident Newcastle will get over the line?
We're here. It's the start of a journey. And we're going.
English football has a captivating history filled with clubs that have experienced remarkable periods of dominance, both domestically and in European competitions. However, as the saying goes, all good things must come to an end, and Newcastle United over the last 67 years have been a prime example of this reality. Many young football fans may be surprised to learn that Newcastle was once a powerhouse in English football, ranking among the most successful clubs alongside the likes of Liverpool and Manchester United. Newcastle United's remarkable success during the 1990s under the management of Kevin Keegan and later Sir Bobby Robson established them as one of the most accomplished clubs in the history of the Premier League. Also known as the Magpies, Newcastle's entertaining style of play and passionate fan base have always made them one of the biggest and most interesting clubs in the league. Despite their recent lack of success, Newcastle United's legacy has remained strong, and their passionate supporters have continued to stand by the club for over 6 decades. That's one hell of a loyal fan base. Even with very little success in recent times, the club still managed to feature legendary figures like Alan Shearer, who holds the record for the most goals scored in the Premier League. It has also been led by iconic managers such as Rafa Benitez and Sir Bobby Robson, both revered for their contributions to the sport. Additionally, former players like Kevin Keegan, a 2-time Ballon d'Or winner, have all left an indelible mark on the club's legacy. Considering all the points mentioned, it is worth noting that winning only one major trophy in 67 years might make it challenging to accurately measure their status as a legendary club. Despite Newcastle's efforts to invest in the club over the years, they have faced challenges in finding their place in the modern Premier League era. In this video, we'll be taking a closer look at Newcastle's rich history and explore the remarkable journey that has brought them to their current state, as well as anticipate the bright and promising future that lies ahead for the club. Before we continue on with the video, please like and subscribe to help support the channel. Now let's get into it. Transporting ourselves back to the year 1892. There is a football rivalry between two prominent clubs in Newcastle, Newcastle West End Football Club and Newcastle East End Football Club. These two clubs had already established themselves as fierce competitors, representing different parts of the city. However, fate had a different plan for Newcastle West End as they encountered a series of challenges, both on the field and in their financial affairs, casting a shadow of uncertainty over the club's future. In order to ensure their survival, they resorted to a strategic move. They presented Newcastle East End with an irresistible offer. The offer was designed to merge the two local clubs as one. This offer was initially frowned upon by both sets of fans, but the inclusion of not only St. James's Park, their home stadium at the time, but also the valuable assets of the club, including players and backroom staff, were part of the offer, which made it difficult for Newcastle East End to reject. After reaching an agreement between the two clubs, Newcastle United Football Club was formed, and the following season in in 1893, their journey commenced in the second division with an exciting 2-2 draw against Arsenal Football Club. Newcastle's success continued into the 1900s, and in 1904 they became the champions of England, a remarkable achievement for the club of their size at that time. They went on to secure a championship title 2 more times within the following 5 years. Additionally, their accomplishments included an FA Cup victory in 1910, further solidifying their status as a dominant force in English football. The club's dominance was short-lived due to the start of the Great War in 1914, which lasted till 1918. After the conclusion of the Great War, Newcastle experienced a challenging period marked by fluctuating fortunes as they worked to rebuild the club. This was common among other clubs across Europe as they all grappled with the challenges of reconstruction in the aftermath of the war. Following years of rebuild, Newcastle eventually tasted its first post-war triumph by winning the FA Cup final in 1924 after beating Aston Villa in a 2-0 win. Newcastle went on to win its first division title in 1927 and an FA Cup win in 1932. Although they experienced a series of mid-table finishes in the late 1920s and early 1930s, these achievements solidified their status as a formidable team in that era. Additionally, the 1932 FA Cup win was surrounded by controversy. Newcastle emerged as 2-1 victors after initially falling behind and staging a comeback. However, it was their equalizing goal that sparked all the commotion. According to reports from that match, the ball had crossed the byline before being played back to Newcastle's wide man for the equalizer. Due to the lack of camera angles at the time, it remains difficult to determine if the ball remained in play based on the available footage. Unfortunately, the absence of VAR during that era further complicated the task of the officials in determining if the ball had crossed the line. And this makes me wonder what players in the 1930s would think of VAR in the modern game. Despite the results, it seems that fate had a different plan for Newcastle. Since that victory, Newcastle has yet to secure a top division league trophy for the past 94 years and counting. Newcastle may not have won league titles since the 1930s, but they did enjoy plenty of success in the FA Cup. In the 1950s, Newcastle experienced a remarkable period of success, securing 3 FA Cup victories between 1951 and 1955. This period saw the emergence of legendary players such as Bobby Mitchell and Jackie Milburn, who left an unforgettable mark on the club's history. Milburn, in particular, etched his name in Newcastle's record books as the all-time leading goal scorer upon his retirement, having netted an impressive 200 goals in 397 games. It wasn't until 2006 that Alan Shearer surpassed his remarkable record, reaching a milestone of 206 goals. Unfortunately, the 1950s marked the end of Newcastle's status as a dominant club in England. The period following these historic FA Cup victories can be characterized as a mixture of decline and hope. Many Newcastle fans would agree that it's been nothing more than a steady decline over the past 68 years. Fast forward to the modern Premier League era, Newcastle United's story has been a cycle of mid-table finishes, relegation to the Championship both in 2009 and 2016, before promotion back to the Premier League. This pattern has repeated itself time and again, shaping its club's narrative since the 1950s. However, it would be unfair to paint the club's history as a cycle of only failures. In fact, there were numerous moments of triumph and joy. Even the little victories were bittersweet. As the club continued to attract exceptional players, visionary managers, beloved cult heroes, and yes, even a few regrettable instances. Considering the club's long-standing legacy and reputation, this diverse range of experiences is only to be expected. From the rise of a young Paul Gascoigne and the brilliance of a 23-year-old Andy Cole, who broke the Premier League goal-scoring record at the time, were just a glimpse of the unforgettable moments that define Newcastle's history. Not to forget the multiple Premier League title pushes during the late 90s and early 2000s added to the memorable moments. When it comes to records, one notable achievement in the Premier League is Andy Cole's record for the most single-season goals in history. In the 1993-1994 season, Cole scored an impressive 34 goals. This record was later shared by Blackburn's Alan Shearer in the 1994-1995 season. However, this record was recently broken by Manchester City's Erling Haaland during the 2022-2023 season. Haaland finished the season with a remarkable 36 goals. Andy Cole also previously held the record for being the quickest to score 50 goals in Premier League history. Once again, this record was recently surpassed by Erling Haaland on November 25, 2023. 1993 during a match against Liverpool. Endiko accomplished this by scoring 50 goals in 68 Premier League appearances. In contrast, Erling Haaland achieved this milestone in only 48 Premier League appearances. During the 1995-1996 season, under the management of Kevin Keegan, Newcastle United experienced their most remarkable campaign since participating in the Premier League. Some fans even argue that season rivals their victorious FA Cup campaign in 1955. A remarkable squad with talents such as Les Ferdinand leading the attack alongside the likes of Peter Beardsley, David Ginola, David Batty, and Robert Lee, among others. This team, often referred to as the Entertainers, earned their nickname through the exhilarating, high-tempo style of play that Keegan instilled in the team. With only 15 games left that season, they surged ahead to a commanding 12-point lead at the top of the Premier League table. The prospect of Newcastle becoming champions by the end of the season was a high possibility. However, the curse that had haunted Newcastle since the historic FA Cup victory in 1955 appeared to persist as their season rapidly declined. By match week 31, Manchester United had taken the lead, leaving Newcastle in a precarious position. As the season approached its decisive moments, Kevin Keegan unleashed one of the most memorable moments in Premier League history. Renowned for his mind games, Sir Alex Ferguson once again stirred controversy by casting doubt on the dedication of the upcoming opponents Newcastle had yet to face that season. Specifically targeting Nottingham Forest and Leeds United, Ferguson suggested that these teams might not exert the same level of effort in their matches against Newcastle as they had against his own Manchester United side. This outrageous claim left Kevin Keegan, Newcastle's manager, absolutely furious. Keegan, motivated by a hard-fought victory over Leeds, passionately responded to Ferguson's remarks with the following statement.
I think things have been said about, I think you've got to send Alex Ferguson a tape of this game, haven't you? Isn't that what he asked for? When you do that with footballers, like he said about Leeds, and when you do things like that about a man like Stuart...
History was not in favor of Newcastle. Draws against Forest and Spurs in their last two matches of the season resulted in Manchester United emerge as champions with a comfortable 4-point lead. So, how did Newcastle respond to this setback? Well, Newcastle proved their resilience by breaking the world transfer record to secure the services of the greatest Premier League goal scorer of all time for a mere £15 million. Yes, that was the world transfer record at the time. Alan Shearer joined the club and wasted no time in making an impact as he helped Newcastle make another title push. An extraordinary 5-0 victory against Manchester United that season may have been payback for the previous season. However, history has a tendency to repeat itself, and unfortunately, this time was no exception. Once again, Newcastle settled for a disappointing second-place finish in the league. To make matters worse for the club, on January 8, 1997, Kevin Keegan's sudden departure from Newcastle United left both the football club and the English football community surprised. Having successfully revitalized the team during his tenure as manager, the 45-year-old made the surprising decision to step down, citing a personal desire to no longer continue his managerial career at this stage of his life. Keegan's remarkable transformation of Newcastle, turning them from a stagnant and underperforming club into one of the most thrilling teams in the English Premier League, had earned him widespread respect. In a message conveyed through the Newcastle club fans telephone service, Keegan expressed his sentiments. It was my decision and my decision alone. I offered my resignation at the end of last season, but was persuaded by the board to stay. I feel I have taken the club as far as I can, and that it would be in the best interest of all concerned if I resigned. Following Kevin Keegan's resignation, many fans were concerned that it would mark the end of a relatively successful era for Newcastle United. These worries were confirmed by the club's 13th place finish in the following season, which set the tone for several seasons of mediocrity. However, there was a glimmer of hope when Sir Bobby Robson took charge, leading to an exciting period between 2002 and 2004. During this time, Newcastle emerged as strong contenders for a top 4 finish, achieving 4th, 3rd, and 5th place consecutively. Unfortunately, this period of success was short-lived as the team quickly regressed and settled back into mid-table mid-table obscurity. When it comes to clubs facing challenges on the pitch, the root of these struggles often lies in the club's leadership. In the case of Newcastle, their ownership between 1992 and 2007 was held by Sir John Hall, a highly accomplished property developer. During his tenure, the club experienced its most prosperous and promising era in Premier League history. Sir John Hall not only invested funds into the club, but also oversaw significant upgrades to the stadium. In terms of owners, Newcastle was fortunate to have someone more than capable at the helm. But in 2007, the ownership of the club underwent a significant change. My apologies to Newcastle fans in advance, as the mention of Mike Ashley's name might evoke some distressing memories for certain Newcastle fans, considering the turbulent times they endured under his ownership. Upon Mike Ashley's ownership takeover, the famous Sam Allardyce took on the role of club manager at the beginning of the 2007-2008 season. Unfortunately, due to a disastrous start, he was relieved of his duties halfway through the season. It is important to know that the decision was not directly attributed to Ashley, as Allardyce was initially appointed by the previous club chairman, Freddie Shepherd, who was already on his way out. I guess Mike Ashley can't be blamed for everything. After Allardyce's departure, Kevin Keegan made a memorable return to St. James's Park, successfully guiding Newcastle to a respectable mid-table finish despite a challenging start. Unfortunately, his time was cut short due to disagreements with the board regarding the club's transfer policies. It seems that upon rejoining the club, he was given a false impression of the level of control he would have. Keegan's resignation sparked fan outrage and alleged threats of violence, forcing Ashley to make the difficult decision to put the club up for sale, only a year after assuming full ownership. However, despite his efforts, he was unable to find a buyer that he deemed suitable and subsequently withdrew the club from the market. This unfortunate turn of events left the fans feeling disheartened and saddened. Newcastle's misfortunes continued as the club faced relegation in 2009. During this time, Ashley once more expressed his intention to sell the club, but unfortunately, there were no interested buyers. Upon relegation from the Premier League to the English Championship, Chris Hughton successfully led the relegated Newcastle team to an impressive comeback, securing promotion to the Premier League by winning the championship. The following season marked a significant improvement for the club. Notably, they achieved a resounding 6-0 victory over Aston Villa, a dominant 5-1 win against their bitter rival Sunderland, and a hard-fought 1-0 triumph at the Emirates Stadium against Arsenal. These results solidified their position as a comfortable mid-table team by the midway point of the season. Fans were once again left disappointed with the recent news of manager Chris Hughton's sacking. The board expressed their intention to hire a more experienced manager. Alan Pardew was the man chosen for the job, and to many surprise, Pardew led the team to a 5th place finish in the 2011-2012 season, and even made it to the quarterfinals of the Europa League the following year, but more of the same results occurred as the years went by. Frustrations from lack of squad development combined with letting key players like Yohan Cabaye to Paris Saint-Germain for a fee of around £20 million. Due to Mike Ashley's poor investments, Newcastle found itself relegated to the Championship once more. However, the team managed to secure promotion back to the Premier League the following season. One can only assume that Mike Ashley is one of the most disliked individuals in Tyneside. After enduring all those challenges over the years, Newcastle fans were finally seeing a glimmer of hope. It seemed that Mike Ashley would finally have the opportunity to fulfill the fans' desire and sell the club. April 2020 marked a significant turning point for Newcastle as a potential buyer emerged, bringing hope and excitement to the fans worldwide. The Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund, Public Investment Fund (PIF), entered the scene with a strong interest in a £300 million takeover, intensifying the anticipation. To put things into perspective, it's worth noting the immense wealth of other football club owners. Nasser Al-Khelaifi, the owner of Paris Saint-Germain (PSG), boasts an estimated net worth of £6 billion. The Glazer family, owner of Manchester United, possesses a net worth of approximately £4.7 billion. Lastly, Sheikh Mansour, the owner of Manchester City, is valued at around £17 billion. In comparison, the Saudi Public Investment Fund's net worth stands at an astonishing £320 billion. The takeover itself was an extensive and challenging process that lasted nearly 2 years. Concerns were raised given the investment firm's close ties to Saudi Arabia. Rival fans and the Premier League itself were very mindful handful of the country's alleged human rights violations, censorship, and persecution of its citizens. It is not surprising that accusations of attempted sports washing were widespread. It is worth noting that Saudi Arabia would not be the first nation to face such allegations, and it is unlikely to be the last. Moreover, considering the alleged histories of some owners already present in the Premier League, it was somewhat surprising to see the Premier League take such a moral high ground in this matter. Unfortunately, the league failed to provide any explanation for the prolonged duration of the process, which led to Newcastle accusing them of being anti-competitive in their disapproval of a takeover. In response, Newcastle United sought the intervention from the UK government, citing unjust prejudice. The frustration among Newcastle fans reached a boiling point, prompting protests outside the Premier League's London headquarters. The fans demanded transparency in the decision-making process that was impeding the transaction. Surely, this had been an incredibly frustrating process. At last, on October 6, 2021, the long-awaited deal was successfully completed. Newcastle United officially announced its new owners. The Premier League took careful measures to ensure that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia would not exert control over the club, providing necessary legal assurances. This announcement sparked plenty of joy and celebration from Newcastle's fan base. There were even rumors that several fans converted to Islam. This announcement made Newcastle the richest football club in the world. And just like with the takeovers of Chelsea in 2003 and Manchester City in 2008, many rival fans were left fearing a situation in which Newcastle would dominate the league for years to come. The recent acquisition of Newcastle undoubtedly reignited hope among the fans, who have longed for a team reminiscent of the glorious days filled with superstar players. But to many surprise, Newcastle is still yet to splash their newfound wealth on big-name players. With the recent appointment of Eddie Howe, Newcastle appears to be taking a measured approach towards a squad revamp. This decision is understandable, as going from one of the worst teams in the league to the best within just 18 months requires more than just financial resources. Eddie Howe was appointed as the new manager of Newcastle United in November of 2021, succeeding former manager Steve Bruce. Since taking charge, Howe has made a significant and positive impact on the club. The club's resurgence has been greatly influenced by the recent recruitments of talented players such as Kieran Trippier, Sandro Tonali, Alexander Isak, Anthony Gordon, and Bruno Guimaraes, to list a few. These additions have made a significant impact on the team's performance and overall success. Also, inherited players such as Joe Linton, Miguel Almiron, and Fabian Shaw have continued to feature regularly and have shown notable progress under Howe's management. Since Eddie Howe's appointment in 2021, Newcastle went from 19th place in the Premier League after failing to win their opening 11 matches under Steve Bruce to finish in 11th place after picking up 49 points in the 2021-2022 season. Thanks to their excellent form in the final months of the season, they registered their best points tally in the Premier League since the memorable 2011-2012 season. Newcastle has continued to impress with their strong form following the conclusion of the 2021-2022 season. The team secured a remarkable 4th place finish the following season, marking their return to the UEFA Champions League for the first time since the legendary Sir Bobby Robson's time at St. James's Park over 2 decades ago. Newcastle's most notable win in this season's Champions League was their impressive 4-1 victory against Paris Saint-Germain on October 4th, 2023. Since Eddie Howe's appointment as manager, Newcastle has picked up a total of 140 points. That's more points than both Chelsea Football Club and Manchester United. As of December 2023, Newcastle currently sits 7th in the Premier League with high hopes of finishing in the top 4 this season. Newcastle's future continues to look bright under Eddie Howe, who has only been at the club a few transfer windows, but he's been pretty spot on with his investments so far. So, do you think Newcastle can exert their dominance like Chelsea and Manchester City in the coming seasons? Is Eddie Howe the right manager to take Newcastle to the next level? As always, please share your thoughts in the comment section, and thank you for watching.